To another video. My name is Meyson. Today we are going to be retouching this beautiful images of this beautiful model shot by Banji. If you guys don't know him, his name is Fabulous Banji. He's an amazing photographer. I'll put a link in the description to his page below, so check him out. He has this artistic painterly style that is really cool. So we're going to be retouching both images in Photoshop instead of doing two separate videos, because both images, kind of look alike. So I was like, hey, why don't we do that? I didn't do much in Capture One. All I did was just drag in my levels, and so I dragged in my highlights, then my shadows, and that was all I did in Capture One. So let's jump into Photoshop, because I have these images imported in Photoshop. What we're going to do is start with this image first. For an image like this, honestly speaking, there really isn't a lot to do. We have to clean out the hair, and this is not going to be hard to do at all. If you know anything about clean out hair, this is going to be very easy to do. So all you have to do is duplicate your layer. So Command J to duplicate your layer. I know I talk a little bit fast, and I've said that I'll put that at the back of my mind when I'm working on images now, so I'm going to be as slow as possible without boring you guys to bed. Then the next thing I'll do is pick up my spot healing brush, and what I'll just do with my spot healing brush is just go over this to take out whatever like just strands of hair hanging out there. Now, I don't think for an image like this you have to do too much when it comes to taking out the hair. If you guys can see, I'm doing a pretty decent job just taking out these random strands of hair that are hanging out, and the spot healing brush does a great job at that. So I'm not going to retouch it like it's some high-end beauty portrait. Now, one other thing you can do is come in here and just take out some of these strands here that are standing out with the spot healing brush too. That will be another thing that it's really good at. So instead of using the clone stamp tool, this is a brush that I would advise you use. As you can see, it's taking out it's doing a pretty decent job. So that's the before, that's the after. Before, after. Left to me, I'll say just take your sweet time and get this done, and your image will look really good. People do not understand that the little things are the things that actually end up making your images look really great. So just take your time, take out these strands, and have your image looking good. Now, I can see a cluster of hair here. This is something that normally I'll take out with the clone stamp tool, but in this situation, I'll probably just use this brush again, just a bigger size, to see what it's going to do. I don't think I need to take out everything that is here. I can barely see, to be very honest. If I absolutely have to, because this has quite a lot of texture in it. The background has you can see textures in the background, right? If I absolutely have to do this, I'll probably just switch to the clone stamp tool. So that's going to be S on my keyboard. Reduce my flow all the way down to like 15, set it to current and below there, and then just see if this is going to work for me. Like, I'm just going to be very careful with what I'm doing here. So one trick I'm doing is just picking from very close to where the hair is, and then just going almost in a straight line. So if you guys can see, if I pick from here, I'm painting here. If I pick from here, I'm painting here. So I'm not going to pick from here and come up here to paint. So like, I'm just working on quite a straight line here, just to make sure that I am keeping the textures intact. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm saying. So let's see what that looks like. This is before, this is after. You guys can see that space looks a little bit cleaner, than before. It's very important that when you're using the clone stamp tool in a situation like this, make sure that you are using it at a very, very low flow. So I'm going to go back to my spot healing brush. My bad. So I'm just going to go back to my spot healing brush. That's it right there. And I've gone back to the low layer, and from here I'll just work my way through. So basically that's it. With this, you don't have to do too much. And we have, just going to put both of them together right now. We have a decent looking image, as you guys can see. When it comes to that, there are a few other strands of hair that I like to take out, like this one here. So the same thing with the spot healing brush, just go over this, and you will take that out. This one too, just go over this, and then you'd have that taken out. One important thing about retouching is having your images looking good from the camera, because with this images that Banji shot, honestly speaking, I don't think I have to do too much. Um, let's see. Okay, great. So we'll have this looking good right now. Now, when it comes to removing blemishes from your subject skin, that was a mistake right there. Command Z. When it comes to removing blemishes from your subject skin, there are different ways to go about it. You can go the route where I use the clone stamp tool after using my beauty or any of my retouching actions. That's the new one from the Pro Retouching pack. Or you can just decide to take a little bit using like the patch tool right here. So you can work on this image using the patch tool right here and just, go over this and just patch it up, something like that. But I've noticed that when it comes to, dark skin, sometimes these tools don't work as good as just just using the, or what I call it, the high layer and the frequency separation stuff. I feel like that works best when it comes to dark skin models or dark skin people. So, put that back in mind. But this is not a bad idea to just remove any big blemishes that you can see that might, give you some issues later. I can see this patch here, probably just patched up a little bit. This one right here, same thing. This one right here, same thing. It does a good job, but I would say, if it's just like working on the skin, I would say, if it's a dark skin person, as you can see that mark that I left there. Look at that before and after. Look at that mark that I left there. If it's a dark skin person, I would say, just go the normal route. Now, for an image like this, I'll probably see what the portrait looks like because it's almost from her waist all the way up. So I'm going to run my portrait retouching action. I'll just turn this on and then run my portrait retouching action. By the way, if you do not have my retouching action, you definitely need to check it out. That's the Pro Retouching pack and the Retouching Essentials pack. I promise you, it will take your retouching to a whole new level. So definitely check that out. In a situation like this, with an image like this, I'll be done before, I even know it using that. So what we're going to do right now is work on the skin, just blending the skin. But before we do that, before we blend the skin, one thing I want to show you guys is just using that high layer. So because we are not just working on a random layer right now, we're using the high layer in frequency separation. What we're going to do is work on our current layer. So this is a high layer. My actions are built on the frequency separation philosophy. So we're going to be working on a high layer where the textures are at. So now you can come in here and then just take out these textures. Remember, a lot of my tutorials, oh, by the way, take your flow all the way back to 100%. A lot of my tutorials on YouTube are just teaching you how to use these tools and not how I would retouch them, because I retouch pretty fast on YouTube because I'm trying to get these out of the way. Normally, when it comes to my personal work, I would probably take my time to do some things a little more because I'm not rushing, to get that out of the way. But for YouTube, I tend to have like a time limit that I have to meet so that you can go about your day. Okay, good. So right now what I'm using is the clone stamp tool on a high texture layer. And what I'm just doing is just sampling and painting. So I'll hold Option or alternate on my keyboard if you're using PC, sample, and then just paint over whatever textures I'm trying to take out. You guys can see it's doing a pretty decent job. I think this image was shot on an icon and it looks really good. The skin tones are really good for somebody that takes a dump on Nikon a lot for no reason, because they have amazing cameras, just because it's fun to do it and everybody does it. So I guess I'm just following the crowd. But I have this D8 that I'm using right now, and it's a ridiculously beautiful camera to shoot with. So hey, so right now, and also shooting with Liberty Z9. Probably going to use that for my next photo shoots and see how that turns out. But hey, right now, I'm just working on the skin, just taking these out. And what I'm going to do is, you can see, sometimes you just have to zoom out to be able to see some. That looks terrible right there. Okay, great. So what I'm going to do right now is just come down to my paint here, pick a brush tool, not my mixer brush tool, a brush tool. Or flow is going to be anything from 30 to 15%. And what I'm going to do is just paint over this. Make sure that you're using a soft white brush. Hardness is on 0. So what I'm just going to do is just paint over this. Now, I don't think I need to go in there and do all that, but just paint over this, avoid the lips and all that. So I'm just going to paint over all these places, right? And if we do it before and after, you guys can see how that looks. Show you guys the before and after, before, after, see how that looks. So what this does is that it just gives me like, I'd say it gives me like a quick, just going to paint over our body too. What it does for me is that it just gives me like it's almost like it cheats for me. So like a lot of things that I have to go and do with dodge and burn and frequency separation, it just does it for me. We're losing a little bit of the shine, so we can just come in here and reduce our blending just a little bit, and we have that shine back. And let's see our before and after. Again, the whole idea is to figure out a way to edit as smart as possible. You can see right here, I think that's the light. The way the light went through the hair is kind of weird there. That's something that I'll probably have to put in mind and figure out the way to work on. But we'll get to that. So right now, we have this looking really good. We have like quite a lot of texture on her forehead. This is something that if you have to go in and take out one after the other using a clone stamp tool like I'm using, it's probably going to take forever. So we'll figure out another way to reduce a lot of texture she has. It's not like she has a lot of like spots or anything. She's just really textured. She doesn't have like bad skin. Her skin is just really nice and textured, which is something that you see with like a lot of dark skinned people. So and that's totally fine. But we have made our way to this point right now to how this looks. So let's see how before and after. You guys can see we've made like a lot of progress. So what I'm going to do next is just do my dodge and burn. So I'll run my complete dodge and burn from my Retouching Essentials pack. And it looks really good here. I don't need to fiddle too much with my levels. So that's just to help me see what's happening here. If you do not know anything about like dodge and burn, what I'm just trying to do is lighten and darken darkening and lightening some certain parts of this image, is just to smoothen it out a little bit more. Without my action, you can see how it looks. With my action, see how smooth it looks right now. Without the action, with the action, see how smooth it looks. But with my micro dodge and burn, what I'm just trying to do is just blend that out a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is just take my flow all the way to 1%, leave my opacity where it is, make sure it's a soft white brush, hardness on 0. And what I'm going to do is just dodge any place that I see that is, my bad, I'm using my clone stamp tool right now. I should be switching to my brush tool. So that's going to be B, my brush tool, take my flow all the way to 1, make sure that it's a soft brush, and yes. So what I'm just doing right now is darkening, lightening anywhere that I can see right here that looks bright, and those are like the shadows because it's inverted. So I just do a little bit of this, do a little bit of that, go to my burn, because I do it hand in hand, just work on my bond. You can see right here, I don't like how this looks, so I'm just going to burn some of these places here just to reduce those highlights. Now because it's inverted, anywhere that is highlighted, like here that looks white, is actually dark. So if I turn off my invert check layer, you can see that place right there that we're dodging, we're actually making it lighter. You feel me? But we're not going to do too much of that, because like the whole idea is not to change the shape of her face, but just keep the image. Like recently, I've been more focused on figuring out the way to make images look as natural as possible instead of going overboard with the retouching. That's just me now. Like I feel like the more you evolve, the more natural your images will look. So as you guys can see, smoothing out like the top of the nose there. Can you see that? Because it had those lines down here around the mouth. Kind of fixed a few things there. So if I do zoom out, the image looks just a little bit smoother. It's nothing crazy. I will definitely go in a bit more and fix a few things like right here. Like if you know how to dodge, you just take a few of these out and it will just look pretty good. but we're not going to do that right now. It's just going to take a lot of time. Like I said, when it comes to working on an image, the whole idea is figuring out the way that you work as fast as possible with images like this. So if we do look at our before and after, so I'm going to zoom in so we can see. Let's see our before and after. This is our before, this is an after, before, after. You guys can see that we've come quite a long way, right? I'm going to take off the second micro dodge and burn because I don't need it for anything right now. With my global dodge and burn here, what I'm going to do is just create a new stamp visible layer. My bad, didn't work. So that's Command, Option, Shift, and E. And that is Control, Alternate, Shift, and E on PC. Okay, so now that I've created this stamp visible layer, I still have my global dodge and burn, but I'm just going to turn it off. What I want to do is reduce the texture that she has on her face. Now, to reduce the texture, I have an action that I actually use for that, and it's called Reduce. Where is that action? It's not my skin smoothing. Where are you? Where are you? That's a soft reduce skin texture. So just going to click OK, and you guys can see it's reduced her skin texture, but I would Command I, Control I, so just invert right here. So what I'm doing is that I am inverting my layer mask right here. You guys can see that. So inverted my layer mask. And what I'm going to do is just probably increase my brush to 100% and increase the size of my brush, and then just paint over her face. Because like I'm just trying to reduce the texture because I just feel like texture was just a little bit too much, right? You don't have to reduce the texture to this level that I have reduced it to. So what I'm going to do is just dial down my opacity because obviously I still want some texture there, but I just felt like it was a little bit too much. So if I zoom in, you guys can see this was the before, quite a lot of texture. This is the after. You know, I can reduce the effect around her face by just being selective of the area that I'll paint it over. For example, if I decide to just take my brush and just change it to black and just paint everything back, so you can see the whole texture is back, right? If I pick a white brush, I can decide to reduce my flow to about 26%, just reduce it, and then just paint with the white brush over whatever area I feel like there are too many textures, you know, something like this. You know, just paint over these areas, you know, anywhere that I feel like textures are just a little bit too much. And what I'll do is just reduce those textures for me so you guys can see the before and the after, before, after. So if I zoom into this part of her face, you can see textures before, after. You can see it was a lot more prominent before, and now everything looks good. So now we have the image looking like this, right? What we can do is now do a little bit of our global dodge and burn. So same thing with the same brush. We're going to take our flow all the way down to 3% will be fine. Between 3 and 4% will be perfect. And then we're going to come here, pick on our dodge. Now I want to brighten the highlights. Now I'm not going to brighten the top of our hair because that's pretty bright, but there are some places around here that I'm just going to lighten. Then around here too, that are lighting right here underneath the chin, the nose, you know, just some highlights here and there. I feel like people underestimate the power of dodge and burn in your image. It will take your images to another level. So come here, anywhere that is bright around her lips, we'll dodge that, you know, just right here, lip bridge. You can see some lights here, you can see some light here. So all we're just doing is making sure these highlighted areas of her face actually stand out, right? So let's see, before, after. You can see, like I said, we're just going to brighten some parts of this place up, some part here, you know. We're not going to go to the forehead. Then the light here on her hair, we're going to make it shine just a bit more, you know. There's some lights around here too. Her body, bring some of that black girl magic back. And then the hand here. And we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to burn the shadows, so, but nothing too much. Same way with her lips. Now when I dodge and burn, especially like global dodge and burn, I don't zoom inside and then just, you know, like just work on the image zoomed in, um can keep it outside, just a little bit, have it looking the way I'll probably see it. So just darken some parts of the hair. So you guys can see it's not like I'm just being really accurate, like I'm just messing around, because you don't have to be super accurate when you work on these images. Okay, great. So we have this image looking nice and beautiful. So let's see where we're at right now. So I'm going to zoom inside so you guys can see. This is where we started, and this is where we're at right now. Looks really nice. So as usual, you guys know I add contrast with my levels. Just going to drag my whites in. I'm holding Option, so that is alternate on PC. Around here I can already see that my whites are peaking, so I'll stop there. And we kind of have a lot of blacks in this image, so you don't want your blacks to be too crushed. And voila, this is a beautifully retouched image. We can take it into Capture One, add some color grade to it, or you can just slap one of my skin tone lots on it. So I'm just going to go with maybe 4 to see how 4 looks. Oh my god, that looks absolutely gorgeous. One of my dark skin tone lots. And yes, let's see how before, after. Okay, great. So what we're going to do is jump into the next image and start retouching that too. So let's jump into the next image and I'll show you how you can get that out of the way as soon as possible too. Same technique. Let's go. So for our second image, we're practically doing the same thing, which is, just fixing up the hair. We're not going to do too much. As you guys know, we're probably going to speed through this one. But as you guys know, if you've not been here, we always fix the hair with the spot healing brush. So we're just going to go in there and take out some of the flyaways that are like, all over the place. By the way, I just duplicated this layer right here. That's Command J, Control J on PC. And we're just going to take this out and just take some of this out. Now, the other ones that are around the hair, you have to actually leave them there for the image to look natural. You just don't want it to look like it was a cutout. So for the most part, you have to leave all those tiny strands, in there, the ones that are kind of like around the hair. If you take those out, then the image starts looking really fake. Okay, great. So I'll probably say we're done with that, because we don't want to do too much of that. So what I'm going to do right now is just zoom in here, and I will take this out, that long strand there. You can do that when you're taking out blemishes, but it's just easier to do this with the spot healing brush. I can see it's leaving the mark, but that's totally fine. Nothing that action can't fix later. Okay, great. Now, if you want to take out the blemishes, you can do that right here with the patch tool. If you hold shift, you can pick out a few of these just to make things easier later. There's no one way to do anything in Photoshop. You have different ways of going around and fixing your image. Okay, great. So we're just going to take out quite a few of these and then just move them on. As you guys can see, taking out a bunch of those. When we run the action, we are going to still work on the skin, but hey, taking those out too. Then this one's, and is there anything that's obvious again that we need to take out? You can see right here, I think it left the mark there. Take that out, and I think for now we're good. Maybe this one right here, take that out too. So yeah, for now we are good, I guess. The rest we can take out when we run the action on our high layer. So just take out some of these right here, and ta-da! I think we are doing a good job. Now, I know I'm going to definitely use a little bit of dodge and burn in this image, but for now, I think we're good. You can come to the chest and take out some other things here if you want to with the patch tool. So I'm just going to go back to my, I don't even know what that tool is called. But yeah, it's via your keyboard. So I'm just going to go back to that tool. I think just, what's it called? Lord knows. The move tool. Thank you. And right now, what I'm going to do is run my beauty retouch action. Okay, great. Now let's get a brush tool, set our flow to about anything between 20 and 30%. Make sure that our hardness is set to 0. Come down here to paint here, and what we're going to do is just paint all over subject. Now, if you are in a situation like this and you feel like the beauty retouch action is not giving you exactly what you want, you can switch to the portrait and see if that's going to be a bit better. But the whole idea is that's just going to make the image, I'd say, a little bit softer than, with the beauty. The beauty will retain a lot more texture than the portrait retouch and action would. So let's see before, after. I'm just going to zoom out so you guys can see that. So there's before, now after. You guys can see it's done a pretty decent job before, after, right? If you feel like the highlights are gone, we can always just come down to our blending, drag this down, and then we'll get more of our highlights back. But I think it looks good the way it is. I will jump into my high texture right now and then just go over some of these textures that are here with my clone stamp tool. So right now I'm using my clone stamp tool, not my brush tool. So I'm just going to take out a little bit of this, and I'll fast forward this part so I'll be done in like a few seconds. Okay, so now I am done with taking out the blemishes. Just one last one here. It's almost like I'm never done with anything I'm doing, but just one last spot there and this one. Okay, great. So now I'm done with taking out the blemishes. As you guys can see, this is the before, this is the after. I'm just going to jump in there, show you guys this is the before, this is the after. You guys can see we've come a long way. The other thing I like doing with all my images, like I did with the last one, is just doing like a quick kind of like put my whole dodge and burn into this layer, but I'm just going to take it out. But anyway, so it's just doing like a quick dodge and burn. So by running my complete dodge and burn, turn on my invert check layer, I'll come here to my layers and just mess around with this, see how this looks. Now, without my beauty retouch, look at how much work I have to do. So without the action pack, look at how much work I have to do to get it to this point. And with this, I'm just going to jump into micro dodge and burn, pick a brush, make sure it's a soft brush, take my flow all the way to 1%. And now I have my micro dodge and burn to do. So basically, I'm just going to make sure, like I said, soft brush hardness on 0. And then just get in here and just do a little bit of dodge and burn, nothing, crazy. I'm just going to touch up the areas that I feel like, can look just a little bit better, So right now I am burning, just going to burn some of these areas here. I know we can see a lot of texture, but as you guys know, I have an action for that would reduce the amount of texture and just make the image look better overall. The reason why I did that is if you spend too much time with micro dodge and burn or like frequency separation, the image tends to look just a little bit fake. And for the most part, you just want your image to look realistic. Like I said, that's just me right now, and what I'm trying to do with like most of my images. So right now I just did a little bit of burning, as you guys can see, kind of like reduced the highlights in these places, just made it look a little bit better. If you look at right here around the eye, look at before, look at after, just made that place a little bit better, right? Can come in here, I can see some tiny dots here. I'm just going to burn a little bit here again. Nothing crazy, to be very honest. So that's the before. You guys can see before and after. Looks pretty decent. Like I said, I'm not trying to do too much. I can see around the lip here, I don't like how that looks. So what I'm just going to do is just burn, just dodge I'm in a little bit of this place to just bring some lights back to that. I think I burnt that place too much. So right now I'm just dodging it. Around the nose right here, which I don't think anybody can see, to be very honest, but I just like to take my time and fix everything. Yes, so somewhere around that, just burnt there. And yeah, so I think we are good right now. So let's see this image where we're coming from. I'm just going to zoom in so you guys can see that, because I use a bigger screen. So this are before and this are after. Before, after, right? One thing I want to do is work on the texture. I want texture to be a lot better. So before I do my global dodge and burn, I'm just going to delete my second micro dodge and burn. Before I do my global dodge and burn, what I'm going to do is just create a stamp visible layer, Command Option Shift and E. So that's Control Alternate Shift and E on PC. And right here, what I'm going to do is run that action, this soft skin reduce texture. I always look for this action, but yes, I'm just going to run that. So you guys can see it'll make her skin really soft. Command I, that's Control I on PC to invert this layer right here. And what I'm going to do is just pick a brush, increase my flow a little bit, and then just, I think I'll reduce my flow to maybe around 12. And what I'm going to do is just zoom in here, and with a white brush, what I'm going to do is just painting the areas that are like really textured, right? Somewhere around here that she has a lot of texture, her nose, all these areas. Just paint those in, and make that nice and soft, right? Anywhere that she has quite a lot of texture, just paint those in. I can get other parts of the face, but just once. But all these places I'll probably just painting just a bit more, just to reduce the amount of texture that's there. Now, as you guys can see, we can still see texture, but it's just a lot more subtle. So I'm just going to zoom in so you guys can see that we can still see texture, but you can see it's just a lot more subtle right there. And it just gives this overall smooth and nice image. Another thing I can see in this particular image is that the makeup is a little bit different from the tone of the makeup is a little bit different from the tone of her skin. So it really depends on what I want to go for. I can decide to go for the makeup looking more like the skin, or the skin looking more, like, you guys get what I'm saying. I can either decide to go, and this is I would say greenish. This has more magenta and reds in it. This has more green and I would say yellows. So I'll fix that right after I do my global dodge and burn. So my global dodge and burn, I will take my flow all the way to 3%. And now I'm going to dodge the highlights. Not too much. Get those lips looking nice and shiny. Eyes too. Yep. Get those looking nice and shiny. And then I'll burn these parts. Okay, great. I mean, I could dodge a little bit of the hair, but right now I'm not going to do that. So that's our dodge and burn. Okay, so to actually correct the skin tone, just to make it match, what we're going to do is first close our global dodge and burn, and then we're going to come down to select color, and we're going to work on our reds. For our reds, we're just going to add some cyans to this image, and maybe just some yellows to it. As you can see, it's affecting the whole image, right? But Command I will take it out, and then we're just going to pick a soft brush, and for this we can just take our opacity to 100 and then just paint on her skin. I'm not like being super careful, but hey, so you guys can see it matches a lot better now. So I'll show you guys the before and after. You guys can see it matches her face a lot better. I'm just going to zoom in so you guys can see this again. Look at her face, look at this part. So before, you can see right here has a lot of magenta and reds in it, but now that we've introduced some cyans, it looks better. You can dial the cyan down if you want to, but it looks a lot better now, and everything fits. You can then just do my the typical thing I do, which is my levels. Hold Option or alternate on PC, drag it out here, and then just add some blacks there. Make sure your blacks are not too crushed. Looking really good. We can throw skin tone lot on it. I'm a fan of like the 4 for dark skin tones. Looks really good. I'm just going to reduce the opacity to something around 38, so it's not too strong. That looks good. We can create a stamp visible layer, Command Option Shift and E. That's Control Alternate Shift and E, and then go into liquify. Just fix up a few things in here. I don't like how bulgy this part of the head looks. Just take that down. And I think that's all I'm going to be doing here in liquify. Nothing too crazy. Maybe if I took a look at the image a lot more, then I'll be able to do more. Okay, so one last thing I'm going to do is just take this into Capture One, just do a few things there. So I'm just going to save this, and then also I think the one we did yesterday is probably saved to this one. But to save this, what I'm going to do is just I'll merge all the layers together. I'm not coming back to edit any of these images, so I'm just going to merge all the layers together and save it. And I'll do the same for this one, saved already, but just to save some space, I'll do the same thing for this one too. I'll merge most of the layers together. Command E. Let me see. It's on 99%, but I'll come back to this. But just so you guys see what this looks like, this is before and this is after. So I'm just going to come here, zoom inside, show you her face too. So this is before and this after, before and after. Okay, great. So let's jump into Capture One. Okay, so now we're in Capture One, and with an image like this, one thing that I like to do is just let's go to adjust, and we're going to go all the way down and just add some vignette to it, just a little bit. So our subject is the center of attention. We can still brighten this up just a little bit. One other thing I like to do is just add some film grain to it. So maybe tubular grain to this kind of image, or maybe cubic. Just add some grain to it. And one thing I always do when I add some grain to my images, sometimes, not all the time, is that I somewhat reduce the clarity too. It just gives it like a softer look, and you just have this more filmic look to it. But yeah, so let's see what this looks like side by side. You guys can see this is the before, this is the after. Look how much better this looks. I'm probably just going to copy the settings from this and throw it into this particular one here. So apply, right? So look at before this and look at the after too. But anyways, thank you so much for watching today's video. Just going to zoom in so you guys can see it. Anyways, definitely check out my pro retouching pack. Check out my all my retouching assets, basically help you retouch better and retouch a lot faster. But hey, look at before and look at the after of this image. Thanks so much for watching this video. See you guys in the next video. Peace out, guys.